Yo, it's it's early morning, and you know what that means? It's time for more TWC. Today we have Great Fairy Wars Lunatic scoring, and what do you guys think of GFW?
I think it's a cool
just
game.
Feel.
You just talks at the same time.
It's very important that we talk at the same time to really illustrate what it feels like to play this game.
Oh yeah.
And get the freezes right while also not dying in the process, and all the other funny multitasking going on. Charging the power.
Yeah, there's some funny micro dodges in this game, so that's gonna be fun to see. But yeah, we have GFW today. It's a pretty cool game, and I hope we'll be able to illustrate just how cool it is.
No pun intended.
Oh yeah. Yes, pun intended, actually. Now, we do have, as per usual, a few slides to go through. Some formalities, you know.
Get your copybooks ready. This will be on the test.
Oh yeah. Most importantly, what's Touhou World Cup? Well, this is the 4th time we've organized it, and it is an annual international tournament featuring the Touhou Project shoot-em-ups. And we got two or three contestants. In today's case, we have 2 contestants competing in either survival or scoring, in this case scoring, on Lunatic or Extra. In this case, Lunatic. And of course we have a website, go there or else. I mean, literally we have a schedule that like is in your time zone. Anyways, for today's match we have 70 minutes of reset time, which means that our players have 70 minutes to get their best possible run. And of course, they are not really competing for raw score, they're competing for TWC score, which is more of a normalized system, because not all routes are equal, so to say. And yeah, the highest TWC score wins. Alright, so how does this game work? Wow.
Does it work?
I guess we're gonna leave it off to Turskain here.
Throwing me off the bus, are we? Well, no, well, as you see on the sheet, you have to freeze in this game to gain points. A surprise, I know. And there's a bunch of graphs here that you can ignore. But basically, when you freeze more, you get more points. And when you freeze even more, the points start increasing faster, but in a bit of a linear fashion, not exponential.
Yeah, and so it's mostly important that you get the 60% freezes, which is where the perfect freeze comes in.
Yeah, that's actually what we see on this sheet. It's the 30% threshold. Write this down in your copybooks. You get 20% PF if the freeze area is 30% or above. And then it halves down between 1 to 10 perfect freeze, below 30%, so you do want the 30s.
Yeah. I should probably mention that perfect freeze just instantly, well, not instantly, there's a delay, but it's at the end of the bwong that you hear when you bomb, it freezes everything on screen.
And of course you have iframes during the bwong as well.
Yeah, there's basically a delay before the freeze actually happens after you use the bomb button. And during that time, you can graze bullets, and you also have to basically time your bomb so that, you know, the freeze also happens during a time when you're actually getting a high percent freeze.
Right, graze is also an important point, because grazing gives you ice power, which you use to freeze, and more ice power makes your freeze last longer, in addition to being able to use it in the first place.
Yeah. You'll see that in action when the match starts. Right.
And Great is also the only way to increase ice power while you already have a freeze active.
Right. So motivation, it's your lives in this game, and like preferably our players are gonna wanna end with max motivation, which is 1000%, right?
Yeah, you need 1000% to basically clear with 43.1 million, which is an enormous amount for how much you're going to be scoring throughout the game itself. This is going to be almost half of your score.
Yeah, and if you're missing one life from the 1000%, that loses you 4 million points, so it's not a small amount to not finish with the 1000%.
Yeah, and each percent counts towards that bonus. It's not like having 999% still gives you 43.1 million.
I believe it's exactly 40,000 per percent.
Yeah.
I might be wrong.
Yeah, it's 40,000.
There's some bullshit here about the damage as well. Where how the ice damage has a cap, and when you hit the maximum damage that the ice does, you get the 9% motivation that is shown here with these nice little blocks on top of Sunny. And partial damage gets motivation proportional to the damage at the same efficiency, basically. If it's half of the damage, it gets half of the motivation.
Yeah, and throughout the game, you do want to be very careful with your damage control, because the bosses only have so much HP, and if you're doing too much damage on your freezes, then you're basically losing out on the timer, because you do want to stall most spells in this game, almost all of them pretty much, because ice in this game just gives you too much score, whereas the spell card bonuses on the spell cards only give you up to like 300k? I don't even remember. I know an extra is 500k, but in this game at least, the spell card bonus is not.
On the level, it's bigger on stage 2 and stage 3 than it is on stage 1, so
yeah.
I don't think anybody remembers the exact values and how it decays, but yeah, it's the milking basically always gives you more motivation, more perfect freeze, more freeze score, with very rare exceptions.
Yeah, pretty much if you get freezes that are like above 60%, then you're already getting more score than the spell card bonus, so you will be bombing some patterns just so you can get that score, and you do sacrifice the spell card bonus, but you want to do it.
So, these are our graphs, by the way. Surprisingly, C2 is stronger overall for score than A1. I did not know that.
Yeah, on C2 there's gonna be, at least on Luna Child's boss fight, there's gonna be a few spells that are gonna be getting a lot of score. In particular, the first spell, which we'll be seeing on Dagoth's side, because Dagoth will be going for C2 and Gyou will be going for C1.
Looking at these numbers at the bottom of this graph, I can't actually figure out where, for example, 120 million is, but it's fine. The system knows once the numbers are put in what the .twc score says. So not even you at home need to put this down in your copybooks. You can use your calculator for this one.
Yeah.
Also, what Gyou was saying.
This is the second half of the exam where the calculator is allowed.
Yeah, what Gyou was saying, I know I butchered that name, but suicides negate ice damage. That is very important throughout the run. You do still get motivation, but it's like up to 3%, I believe. So you do still get a little bit of motivation if you suicide. But the main thing for you doing suicides is not only because you're getting PF back, perfect freeze, because you need to get perfect freeze back to get larger freezes, but you're also not doing any damage to the boss aside from the death wave. The death wave essentially overrides the ice damage.
So I think we should start introducing the players. So first of all, we have Dagoth. Everyone knows and loves Dagoth, right? He's kind of famous for already being a really good player since quite far back.
He's also a Frenchman.
Oh yeah, he picked up Great Fairy Wars for I think it was in 2021, and where he played A1, and he got Reki in that fairly quickly. And he still has that Reki. Now he's playing C2 instead.
Yeah, and I believe he hasn't finished a run yet. He has been practicing though, so I'm quite curious to see what kind of score he's gonna be getting. I imagine that he does have some new stuff in his route that we haven't seen in the record of 105 million. So I'll be there to cover that when it happens.
Yeah. All right. Next player we have Gyou, also known as Gyou-chan, also known as Gyou-choppa. So he has I don't know much necessarily about him, but he kind of knows how to get score in more or less every Windows game, at least at a basic level. And he of course played GFW in a few previous years, and now he's playing C1, I believe.
Yeah,
and I believe that's the route he's been playing in previous years also.
Yeah, so last year he was doing C1 during TWC as well, and he got 102.1 million, which is only 100k from the record. And actually, just this morning, he broke the record with 102.4 million. So that's 200k above what the old record was. So he actually beat it.
Oh yeah, very impressive. So
cool stuff. It also seems like we've also got Dagoth in the Twitch chat, already showing nerves, saying "Rip my heart." Or perhaps he's given an order for the viewers to welcome him with some polite flaming.
Oh, that's a really cute plushie. Really cute plushie on yours side. Also,
what do you think he's going to evolve into?
I like his message in the corner there. I can't reach 1000%, something like that.
Yeah, there's gonna be like the last few spells you basically don't want to die, so if you do, you're gonna be losing out on 1000% motivation. So the end game is gonna be pretty scary.
Yeah.
Especially on the penultimate spell, Fairy Overdrive.
Yeah, you also have some flexibility in this game as to how many times you want to die for score.
Yeah, there are certain parts in the game where you can afford to die and you can still finish with 1000%, and you might sometimes have to like give up a bomb or a suicide just so you can, stay on route again, at least in terms of lives.
Yep. Dagoth also opting to hide his true potential on C2 with a 82 mil high score.
Yeah, I mean, I expect that he didn't have
classic
PV
marathon
yet.
strat. Where you literally refuse to do runs before the performance in order to get that marathon WR high.
I got erased.
Right.
Interestingly, his true PV is not actually showing on Gyou's screen.
I wonder if the players are going to start on the clock. It's not many seconds now. 2, 0, 1.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
we have a head start here from Gyou. The Frenchman, as always, is fashionably late.
Okay. So, dang, early death.
Yeah, so the C route is actually pretty difficult to score, and actually doesn't score that much either. You get like 7
Both
million on
players
the
die
first
into the
stage.
first pattern. You love to see it.
Yeah, because it starts off pretty random already, and so to set up your freezes, you need to face a lot of danger, especially these sunflower fairies.
You also start seeing the grace mechanics here, where when you graze bullets, you gain ice power proportional to the amount of bullets you grazed. And there is also a special mechanic there where if you're holding your ice and it's making the swirly sound effect, swirl, 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 that regenerates a bit of ice power passively, more so than normal, so that is why people will bank that freeze occasionally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then here we also have suicide bullets or revenge bullets that are being used to graze ice power immediately, and sometimes they are also being frozen immediately because you don't have anything else to freeze, so you just freeze those revenge bullets.
Yeah.
And here we have a bomb.
Just a little extra bonus from the revenge bullets.
So the bomb from PO got over 60%, which are the kinds of bombs you want to see, because that's what you're using the bombs for. You're using the bombs to get the high percent freezes. And these freezes will also
There is also a maximum amount of perfect freeze you can have in stock, which is 300%, and that's why you use bombs, for example, on the speed boss, that they might not be 800k or some ridiculous number, but they are still the best you can do with what you have at this point.
Yeah, optimally you do not want to be at 300% for a lot of the time, because then you're just wasting potential with your bombs, basically.
Yeah, you could say that routing in this game partially comes down to really optimizing your resources.
Yeah, absolutely. And
or min-maxing.
Yeah, and I guess one thing we didn't really mention that was in the slides, but you do side shoot a lot of bosses and also enemies a little bit. And you're doing that because you're doing less damage that way, obviously, but you still gain motivation and ice power at the same rate. So that is also a way you're min-maxing your resource
I think we're going to be able to see that once they get to Lily Black again, which I hope they do.
Yeah, and also the reason why side shooting is so important is because if you do too much damage, you'll be losing out on freezes, because the freezes will do a lot of damage to bosses. Like, for example, on this 6.66%, and then he died.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. The way it works is
the reason they side shoots, basically that's hitting the boss with only like one stream of bullets at a time. The reason they side shoot is, of course, to minimize damage, but it's also because when you're shooting enemies, the amount of shots that hit the enemy doesn't actually matter. You still gain freeze power at the same speed.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's not only minimizing damage on bosses, but also dealing what damage you do deal with the ice, which gives you more motivation than dealing damage with the shot. So on some spells where damage control is not so tight, you still want to do a certain amount of planned damaging freezes to cash in the motivation and not leave HP in the tank on the boss that could be converted into motivation.
Yeah. So I'm noticing they have quite a brutal beginning here.
Yeah, because again, like the C route starts off really hard, and there's also not really much you can do in terms of scoring, at least on most patterns. So it's a lot of small optimization that you do, but you have to do it because, well, in case of the C route, you wanna get to max PF at around, let me think, I think it's like Star's second spell.
Let's see if Dagoth can get past this mid-boss final pattern. He's doing the technique known as ice grazing here, where while the ice is spreading, you go forward to the edge of the ice and graze some bullets there. Since grazing is again the only way to charge ice power while you already have an ice on the field. The other means like shooting and charging are not possible when you already have an ice, but the grazing is allowed, and that can let you get very, very quick charge.
Yeah, that's a technique called ice grazing. Basically, the point is that you are grazing bullets right before they get frozen, just so you can get your ice power back quicker and do large freezes more quickly.
The way that I always looked at ice grazing is sort of following the very edge of the ice as it expands.
Yeah, it's like you're going to the beach and you're surfing the wave. This is what it's like.
Yeah.
This is the game for chats, for the cool people.
Looks like Dagoth has reached the first stage boss first.
Yeah. Demonstrating some nice spawn grazing also.
Yeah, this is, you know, pretty much standard practice for star nons, basically.
It's also being called skirt sniffing. And the grace box in this game is rather large, so it is, generally speaking, not very dangerous to do this. The tolerance is... It doesn't require you to be super close, and you just get the ice and then everything is good.
Okay, so this first spell is gonna be really dangerous, and he's not gonna be bombing here. He's gonna try to not bomb this.
It's also highly random as to how these ices work.
Oh my god.
So it might deal more or less damage than would be ideal, and that may require compromise.
How much resources would you say that Dagoth has in leeway, so to say?
So, when he gets through the third stage boss, he can afford 3 unintentional deaths, but that does mean he has to go for a different bomb pattern on the boss. He's basically, like, when he gets to the final boss, he basically plans on doing 8 suicides if things go well. He will be doing 3 suicides on the first non, 4 on the third non, and 1 suicide on the last non. If he gets any unintentional deaths, he will be going for 5 suicides, where it's 3 on the first non, 1 on non 3, and 1 on non 4. But depending on how much leeway he has on his motivation, he might do an extra suicide in there somewhere.
Yeah, usually in most scoring routes there's around 1200 or so, maybe 1300, depends a bit on the route and the specific execution. There's excess motivation that you can use either for suicides or for accidental deaths, and if there are accidental deaths, then those can be converted into skipped suicides, basically, for some flexibility and consistency.
So this is a really cool spell. You see how the spawn point of the stars kind of follow you. You can actually exploit that by freezing it and then misdirecting it, and that can give you.
Yeah.
Never underestimate the French potential to give up.
Yeah. They got sadly getting bodied by what's her name? Star Sapphire. Yeah, Star.
The bomb that he used at the start of the spell was actually a new strat. He that is normally not done, but he's gonna be using 2 bombs on that spell.
That spell's a quite difficult scoring pattern where he died as well, since while you can force survival freezing in a way that leaves no leftover bullets, for milking the maximum points, you do want to take a bit of risk where it ends up leaving some leftovers, and that of course carries the risk of getting shot.
And while he's freezing the bullets, he also is oftentimes expanding the freeze in a way so that it doesn't do damage to the star. So he's deliberately moving away from her.
We are still waiting for the stage 1 IL record to be set on this TWC stream.
Oh yeah.
Gyou currently closer. Oh, we are hearing some live commentary from Gyou as well.
Yeah.
It sounds like he's perhaps on a trip to the Titanic.
Hearing some nice clacks. Always gotta love it.
No bongos this time, though.
Seems like he opted for a slightly safer, conservative pattern on the second non-spell, perhaps.
Yeah. I mean, it's always a good idea. For your first... Oh.
He tried to do the top freeze. That's actually a new strategy that that I actually came up with before, like as I was talking with Dagoth about how this route works, because, well, the C2 route and the C1 route are quite underplayed, so, like, a lot of the things that are happening here are, you know, part of a pretty obscure category. Normally the popular routes are the A routes. It's mostly A1 that is commonly played, and then A2 because A2 scores by far the highest.
Yeah.
And the C routes are one of the lower scoring routes. C1 is the lowest, I believe.
I do want to take a moment to shield that A2 does not only score the highest, but it's only the, in general, swaggest route with the fantastic spells such as Diamond Ring and all the other names I don't remember that nonetheless are the goats.
Yeah, the spell with the walls where you suicide a bunch on. Or well, you probably don't suicide a bunch, but you can die to it a lot if the RNG is bad.
Yeah, it is it's a spell that it would be way funnier to explain if we were actually playing that route, but instead we are here in France, live from the Louvre, watching stage 1.
I guess that's one downside to this route. You're probably not going to be seeing the late game as much, but these players are probably going to be, you know, accepting the mistakes pretty soon here, because they should probably get at least one score on the board.
Alright. This is something that can happen with the C and B routes as well. A bit more so compared to the A routes. The stage 1 can be rather random, and there is a possibility to die a lot.
Yeah. I'm really hoping that these players will be able to escape stage 1 prison at least soon.
Yeah, at least you do get accustomed to how the C route goes, and you kind of get an idea of how good the freezes are gonna be.
Yeah, the top freeze on the mid boss that George just did and Casey was talking about earlier, that's actually how it's done in the stage 2 version of the mid boss in, for example, A2, so it's new in this route, but it has been for some years done in other similar patterns.
Yeah, and also on this route, you do not use any suicides, which is also probably a bit unusual. The suicides are gonna be started in stage 2. On this route, you do not intend to die at all.
Yeah.
There's a lot of flexibility with where you can suicide in this game, since the only hard cap is that if you're on 1000% motivation for a long time and not gaining any more lives, then you lose in value, but as long as that doesn't happen, theoretically, the suicides can be placed anywhere in the game within those limits.
Your chin is on Lunatic, no, Star Sapphire.
Yeah, I think in the C routes, you're not going to be seeing 1000% motivation until the end of the game, basically. So, like, when you get to the end of stage 1, you want to see about 500% motivation, and on stage 2, at least in C2, that Dagoth is going to be playing, you want to see somewhere around 600%. 630
George on
around
the hype
there.
spell.
Yeah, let's see if he's going to survive it this time.
He did a defensive freeze there right before he got hit. Smaller than he would like, but being small and alive.
Yeah,
Like
you want to see those
big and
30% as well, but the route here is
He
not
did a
actually that
safety bump
tight.
that was not planned.
Yeah, that was probably a good idea.
Yeah.
The world record actually bombs here too, so... And I feel like that's also a safety bomb because of how... Oh, he killed it early. So
Yeah,
you can actually
that's
see
one
that the boss...
Yeah, he dropped score items which we haven't talked about yet, and
Yeah.
the reason that you don't see that often is because when enemies and bosses are killed by ice, the point items are frozen and collected automatically, and in that state they give 4 times the points that they do compared to being POC'd, so that is why POC in this game is often called the POC of shame.
Yeah, the point items are not worth very much, but the frozen items, they can add up to a little bit, but it's especially important on the lower difficulties because the point item value does not change between difficulties.
How much is the difference between a frozen and a non-frozen point item?
A frozen item is 4,000 points, whereas a normal point item is 1,000, assuming you POC it. But frozen items are always 4,000 points. They get automatically collected as they get spawned.
Yeah.
Chums in the chat clarifying that the bomb on the hype spell that you just got through is in fact a planned bomb, but there is still an element of a reaction there because within the parameters of not maxing your PF, not ending the spell prematurely, things like that. You know, you can do it at the start of the spell, you can do it at the end of the spell, you can do it when you get into trouble, depending on how things are going. And in that sense, using it in that situation was both serve the score purpose and a reactionary survival move.
Dang.
The point items of shame.
Hey,
Unfortunate,
at least he escaped stage 1 prison.
He's free for now. But how much is freedom worth if France is anything to go by? We are about to find out in this match.
We're probably going to be seeing a bomb from Gyou here. Yeah, there we go. Because as you can see, a whole bunch of fireballs get frozen and you get 82%. And that's also the thing, the larger bullets do actually give you more ice area when you freeze. And that's why the fireballs are also so important.
Yep.
Yeah, the fireballs can make for some rather nice bombs.
Yeah, and whenever you're doing smaller freezes, you just generally want to see 30% for building up that those bombs, because the bombs are just worth so much. Because you know, if you get like the really high percentage freezes, you can get about 900k from your ice. And this is a game where
trapped in the corner. The boss moved in a way where he was kind of being stomped on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got sniped by a fireball.
The boss height when they move is also completely random, so most of the time in this game it's preferable that they go up high and give more space between you and the bullets, both for survival and for score, but there are times when the luck just isn't there.
Dang, I feel like Gyou-chan is killing all the bosses early.
yeah, he's
Yeah, the damage routing isn't as tight as you'd ideally want. For example, right now he wouldn't want the freezes to be connecting so early and ending it, but
Oh dear.
meanwhile
This is,
they got on the hype spell. Let's see him cap.
or not.
Dead is dead.
I mean, you can't afford
he
to
uses
die
the bomb.
once.
Dagoth actually skipped the bomb on that spell, so he must have something else in mind.
Yeah, I don't think
He's capping 300%, so he did not bomb it.
Yeah, he's not going to bomb on the first spell. He's going to be using 2 bombs on the second spell, and he does not intend to use the bombs on the first spell. I think if he does, he would go off route probably. Or if you can afford to use a bomb on the first spell, but Dagoth is not going to be doing this.
Gyou also sadly train wrecked and
So here's the
finally
first
reset.
bomb. You see he's using a bomb right there. 59%. Also, one thing I didn't mention, it's really subtle, but when Dagoth bombed right before the first freeze ended, so he actually got some extra PF because he got the PF right after the bomb activated, so he got like 7% extra PF from that. So that's also one small little thing you can keep in mind when you're bombing. He essentially got ice power without being at 300%. And it looks like Dagoth is out of stage 1 too now.
Alright, let's hope he doesn't get caught by the police again. Like,
Yeah, so this is where the routes diverge.
Yeah, Dagoth, the Frenchman, is playing C2. And the difference between C1 and C2 is that in one of them you fight Sunny on stage 3, which is what Dagoth is doing, and in one of them you fight Luna. And there's actually very deep lore about that, because canonically, stage 3 in this game takes place at night time. And if you read the manga, then you know that Sunny Milk's power is reduced at daytime and increased at daytime, reduced at nighttime and increased at daytime, and Luna's power is consistent regardless of the day-night cycle. And this is the lore reason why Sunny Milk is generally the weakest of the stage 3 bosses, and Luna and Star are comparatively stronger.
It's gonna be a bomb right here. There we go. 86%.
Wait, I got the lore slightly wrong. Luna is the one that is stronger at night and weaker at day, and Star was the one that is always strong, which is extremely accurately represented in the gameplay of this game. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
So I think Dagoth was a little bit behind on resources out of stage 1, so we're gonna see how he's gonna fix that. Or maybe if he gets lucky enough, he can get on route again.
The stage sections are also partially shared between the routes. For example, this stage section that Dagoth is doing right now, it's the exact same parts that are in A1, so this is his home turf.
Dagoth is currently demonstrating using suicides to reduce damage to bosses.
Yeah, you're basically only doing damage with the Death Wave and not with the Ice, and the Ice does a ton of damage. Like, it does so much damage that if you were to do this on Lily Black's last non, it would have killed it instantly. Like, from full HP.
Yeah, there's also in some cases, timing and positioning factors to the damage reduction you get from suiciding, but on that particular non-spell, you just ram into the boss, which is quite simple. But some later cases, there are situations where the suicide is done in a fireball or a laser that is rather distant from the boss, and that cancels even more damage than a point-blank suicide.
So Dagoth is getting close to Luna here, and Luna actually is probably the reason why this route scores a bit more. Oh, he got 29.99%. That is really unfortunate. That means he just barely
yeah,
didn't
he
hit.
also missed the 30% before that. He might be close to resetting. If I've ever seen a documentary about France, this would be where the surrender occurs.
Okay, so yeah, Luna here is gonna be very important. The first and the second spell are spells where he really does not want to die. You'll see on the first spell, I think the first spell here is actually gonna have the biggest freezes in the game. You'll see that in a moment here.
There's also a very important lore factor I want you to look at on this very non-spell here and on other Luna's non-spells. You may notice that she throws these circular rings of jelly beans, and that they are frozen in a loosely crescent shape. This is very important. Put it down in your copybooks.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned that in last year's TWC as well. That I thought it was pretty interesting that Zune thought that far ahead with it.
He liked the idea so much that he used it on every single Luna non-spell in the game.
Alright, here we go. Here we go.
Boom.
96%.
Yeah,
and now he's gonna use a ton of suicides because this spell scores so much that you really want to make the most of it.
It's also very luck-based how the bombs are not so luck-based, but the freezes are rather luck-based as to whether they will be big or slightly less big. Like that is a big freeze, but not all of them have been like that.
Oh no! Yeah, so the reason you do not want to die here is because you're gonna be potentially missing out on a huge freeze, and it might also mess up your. Oh yeah, he totally messed up there. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, the bomb is supposed to finish the spell, but he unfortunately had too much damage, and then the bomb.
Yeah, that cost him a lot of score.
Yeah,
Iron blanks.
Yeah, like if you remember the slides, the maximum score you get from a freeze is 1 million, and at 96%, I mean that's over 900k.
Yeah, that's basically a million going right down that one premature kill.
Okay, so someone's saying you do suicide, but you don't want to die. Well, the point is you do not want to die when there's not a freeze going off, because then you know it's unintentional.
Right. Since suicide, in addition to all the other good things it does, it also refreshes your ice power to 100% without dealing damage to the boss. So it fits into high efficiency patterns that let you fit an extra freeze or two on a particular pattern where otherwise the damage would be too high.
Oh, he's getting bad RNG on this spell. This is a really important spell to not die on either, because if you die here, setting up the next freeze is gonna take a long time, so you're just wasting time. But yeah, the freezes here are not expanding to the top, but that's what you want to see. Okay, that one was a lot better. This is a very RNG-based spell. And he probably does want to see a whole lot of 30% here.
Yeah, the survival is not so RNG since there's this neat little safe spot that he's sitting in, but the freezes, they may or may not give you the faith.
Oh yeah, and this spell is not very scoring friendly, so he will be killing this spell a bit earlier than before timeout, because, well, it's just far too risky and it's just not worth it.
We're hearing in the chat from production that somebody's audio station died. I hope that this does not bode ill for our journey to the Titanic.
I'm hoping we don't get any holes in the stream itself.
Yeah, hopefully the hole can hold on.
So it looks like Dagoth is about 80% behind on motivation, and his PF is about where he should be. Maybe a little bit behind, but he might be able to still go. He might still be able to rectify this. He can have 3 unintentional suicides, so even if he dies twice more, he can still go with a backup route where he suicides 5 times on the stage 3 boss.
Right, and you also gain 800% motivation or thereabouts on the final boss, so in the worst case, there is still a room for considerable mistakes and clearing with 1000%.
So the audio will be cutting out a little bit. Please wait warmly.
Now.
Yeah.
And he's going to be timing his freezes right before the lasers come so that the lasers get deleted.
Right, audio's back.
Okay, yeah, that was definitely unintentional.
Yeah, we might have been out for a bit, or we might not have been, but regardless, we should now be back. So we can continue judging this run from Dagoth that we are seeing, and so far this non-spell is going rather well.
One
this
thing,
is also where you're introduced to the laser mechanic, or the piss lasers as they are called. Like in real life, piss is warm and shatters ice and snow, and this is what these lasers are doing as well. They are shattering ice into these bullets that are almost the same color as the ice and can really snipe you from the edge if you're unlucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was timing his bomb in such a way that the lasers came out right before the actual freeze happened, so that the lasers got deleted, because that way the ice does not get shattered. And it's actually specifically the buzzsaw thingies that shatter the ice. The lasers themselves don't actually shatter the ice. But you know, for simplicity's
is trying
sake,
not to damage the boss with these freezes so he can do more of them. But there is some luck here as to whether the boss will come low or otherwise.
Yeah, the freezes are extremely tight. The timing here is extremely tight.
Seems like he's gotten a bit more damage than he would maybe like, and he also took a death, which is not ideal.
Yeah.
But the resources are definitely still on pace to do some profitable suicides on the final boss.
Yeah, ideally would want to Ideally, he would enter this boss, this next boss, with 970% motivation and 190% PF, but he's not going to be doing that. So he's probably going to be going for the 5 suicide route.
Yeah, it depends on how you want to approach the game and everything, of course, but nearly all resource situations have at least a copium alternative for using suicide, so a bomb saw skipping them if you're prepared for those eventualities. Though not without score cost, of course. But
one little funny thing I wanted to
can be finished.
Yeah. One little funny thing I wanted to mention, when Dagoth approached the Sunny mid-boss, he actually wants to skip the dialogue immediately because for some reason the timer for the non-spell actually starts when the dialogue is running. So he actually wants to skip it immediately. This happens on the A1 route and the C2 routes.
Yorchan managing to escape prison once again.
Production letting us know that he is a free software and 2 assists using the DAW Ardo, representing the freedom. Much like freedom is being represented by Dagoth right here.
Yeah, and this is also a secret survival tech, yeah, because you can't just keep the dialogue opened up and just... I think it's like 3 seconds left when the dialogue actually automatically ends. And you can basically just skip the non-spell that way. But only on A1 and C2. Okay,
unfortunate hit there, that was not it.
You can still fix
Oh no,
this.
the POC of shame.
Oh.
The damage wasn't quite there.
He also mistimed this bomb a little bit, I think. There's a suicide. So with the backup routes, let me see. With the backup route, he's gonna be doing 3 suicides here.
No, he didn't go for the... Oh yeah, he doesn't have the HP. Oh no, the boss had taken too much damage, possibly from the death earlier. So ideally he would want 1 more freeze there, but yeah. It was probably the extra damage from the unintentional death. That is also something unintentional deaths can do, where the death wave deals damage that otherwise wouldn't have been there, and then your damage route that assumed the absence of such damage suddenly makes it die 1 freeze earlier, which is what happened to him there.
So right here, this spell, when the sun effect happens here, the bullets speed up, but in the A1 route, it would actually curve the bullets. And the scoring potential on this version is a lot less. But he's probably still going to be milking it because he needs the PF. The PF is worth more than the spell card bonus.
You're also milking motivation here, since every freeze that crawls up Sunny's skirt will give you those sweet motivation points.
Yeah, that is for the partial. That also does partial ice damage. So he's probably gonna be ending the spell right here with his next freeze.
Yeah, he does want to cap this for the frozen items. There he goes, no POC of shame. There's some new strategies on this non-spell, I believe, as well, that have been discovered since last year.
Yeah, by Nama, I believe, who was also in the survival match of yesterday. Now, I don't know if Dagoth's gonna go for it. He might be playing it safe on this, we'll have to see. Going for non-damaging freezes here.
Yeah. If you had here extra lives, there might be a possibility of suicides, but it seems that
he's going for it.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
He got the swag inside freeze and he's doing it again.
And now he's freezing the bullets here, and now that transitions to the next spell, so he can speed kill these side fairies really fast.
Yeah, the freeze dealt full damage to both side fairies, so he's able to kill them.
He died to the revenge bullets.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
Yeah. Quite costly as well.
At least the nice thing here is that you don't have to worry about too much damage on Sunny, because you're doing non-damaging freezes here anyway.
Yeah, it does lose you the spell capture bonus though, and the upcoming non-spell after this spell is the last remaining great suicide spot in this route, so he might have to settle for copium there. We'll have to see.
Yeah, on the backup route, he's gonna be doing 1 suicide on the next non-spell, so looks like Gyou is on the hard spell of Sunny. This spell you can die on very easily.
Yeah, this is the epilepsy warning spell. You've been warned.
Oh no.
The non-POC of Shane, very unfortunate for Dagoth, but
yeah.
Actually, does he have room to suicide? We'll see. I'm not actually sure how much, how the motivation numbers look at this point, but he has room for either 0 or 1 suicides. Judging from the place, he was going for 0 suicides.
I think he...
the extra deaths on that previous spell really did him in, I think. He attempted to do this without suicides, which may be necessary depending on how the run is going, but it makes it way more difficult when you don't have the damage control and safety of doing a suicide that refreshes your ice power.
I don't know how much he's gonna be getting on this spell.
Yeah,
but,
this doesn't look like a 1000% clear.
Yeah, I mean, he may as well just finish the run so he has something. Because getting out of stage 1 is something else.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I felt like he messed that one up because the freeze was too small. Oh, yeah,
It just resets.
Yeah, that was at least 200% motivation missing from the clear, which would be about 8 million or more points, so his TWC score was being dumpstered now. Very unfortunate. Also very common on the final boss in this game in every route, since it tends to be a significant difficulty spike, and it's also a long section with a ton of score potential, but also some risk.
Yeah.
Gyou doing really well on that spell that he just finished.
Yep, it's 4 million for each missing one.
What is worth to be mentioned is that, like, despite the fact that you can basically delete bullets almost at will, GFW compensates for that by being extremely brutally difficult anyway.
And the ice power mechanics are really interesting as well, in that they don't just let you fire the freezes non-stop. Your recharge rate is limited by your ability to shoot and graze and hold the ice before firing it, and if you're scoring, you of course often want a bit more percentage, which means you gotta hold on a bit before it's time to freeze and take a bit of extra risk.
I think this is the first time Gyou reached stage 3.
Yeah, this is
stage 3.
This is the other stage 3 we're seeing with Luna Child. It takes place at night, and as you remember, Luna Child is associated with the moon, so she's extra juiced up here.
So I actually used a small freeze there because he was gonna be bombing anyway, and those bullets were gonna go off screen, so it's just a bit of optimization. So sometimes those small freezes do actually help because, you know, it's just, you know, min-maxing again. You're just making use of whatever resource you have right at that time.
The stage sections and bosses also, in addition to repeating between routes, they of course are associated with different bosses, so this stage section here is the same as in A2 stage 3, I think. But this time it's with Luna Child instead of Stars of Fire.
He's also
Luna
making
is
use of
coming
the
pretty
laser.
low on the screen right now, which is definitely not good because it makes things more dangerous, freezes smaller, more likely that the boss takes full damage. Because you definitely can't deal full damage with every freeze here, but you do want it to be big, so ideally the freezes would not all touch her, while still being relatively large. Right now she's being higher, which is probably why he wants her.
It's also good for dodging the jelly beans, because the jelly beans have pretty big hitboxes in this game. Basically, ever since Double Spoiler, the hitboxes are circular, and that kind of screws you over with those particular bullets.
Yeah, the jelly beans for some reason are like twice as big as everything else in the game. That looks big. It's rather strange, but
yeah, I can definitely say that from tassing, doing a few tasks of this. Okay, and this is also a pretty big bombing spot right here, because this spell speeds up over time, and jelly beans give you a huge amount of ice area.
Yeah.
He's gonna be using a lot of resources here, depending on how much he's ahead or behind on his resources.
I tend to really enjoy watching this spell card. It's pretty flashy in terms of ice area.
90%.
Yeah, it
And he's also
also
doing
showcases some of
suicides.
the peculiarities of the way ice expands with the bomb that are exclusive to it, where the bomb's already frozen and the way it expands towards the end of it is something that is slightly different from normal freezes.
Let's see if Dagoth is gonna survive this first spell this time. Oh, you have to do a defensive, yeah, okay. It happens.
Right, Chum's in the chat, he's mentioning the 30% mechanic again, which we should repeat. That a freeze that is 30% or more in size gives 20% perfect freeze or 1/5 of a bomb, while one that is below 30% gives between 1 to 9% perfect freeze. Getting closer to Luna Child or Gyou. Oh no, that is a very costly unintentional death. He's still able to do this bomb, but it's a copium version, and he missed one freeze due to that as well.
Yeah, there's that 7% extra motive, extra PF from Dagoth by timing the bomb right before that first freeze ends.
Yeah. Gyou-chan still deciding to continue.
Yeah, so far there aren't any scores on the board yet, and more than half of the time is up already. So
that's the last death that Gyou is allowed if he wants to clear it 1000%. Everything from this point on will dip him below the 1000.
And for reference, like a score run of this game is about 25 minutes, so they still have one full run they can do at least.
Doing this boss no miss will be very difficult, especially the parts where you would normally want to use suicides. Doing them without suicides can make things not only scoreless but also be very difficult, since suicide brings generally not only score benefits but also consistency and stability.
Probably gonna be a bomb here. When you see him stop shooting, then you probably know it's gonna be a bomb.
This is one of these cool spells.
Yeah.
That unfortunately you can't milk as long as you would like, as the freeze kind of connect on all the three fairies, and that deals a lot of damage.
You can see that he's also grazing the bullets that are about to go off screen, because those bullets are not being included in the frozen area essentially, so you aren't really missing out on freeze percentage.
Yeah, if you collide with bullets during the iframes of the bomb, those bullets they get deleted and they don't get added to your ice percentage. That's what he was talking about there.
Yep.
And so doing that at the side of the screen makes such effects negligible.
Yeah, and that way he also gets 100% ice power right away. Hey, just as a refresher, what the resources are here. The yellow number, or the yellow text below that is motivation. The
speaking
blue
of
text
reset
below
time, we
there
have
is ice power.
25 minutes of reset time left, so the next run or current run for both players, if it's Dagoth, might be the last Dagoth gets. Apparently we've been here for a pretty long time already.
The Dagoth can probably finish one more run and then reset right away if he's quick enough, but otherwise...
Yeah, if he finishes the current run, he can probably barely get another run in with a couple of minutes left on the timer, but he's definitely not going to be afforded the luxury of several stage 1 resets anymore if he wants more than one run finished.
Yep.
And the same goes for Gyou as well, assuming that he finishes this run.
Yeah, he's
He's going
probably...
to have one full run left in him.
I don't know if he's gonna do any more suicides, though. He might be too tight on motivation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
At least on the final
he can't
spell.
afford the suicide here, since he's already on his last life. And the next non-spell is going to be extremely difficult without being able to use suicides. We'll see how he handles it.
Yeah, just know on the final
in
spell
every
you
round
get...
is one of those patterns where if you have suicides, it scores more and actually feels possible, but if you don't,
yeah.
then it's both impossible and has copium scoring potential.
Yeah, and the randomness on that spell is just really high, so you would rather not have to deal with it at all.
He timed it down, I think.
Yeah, he timed it out just barely, but I don't... Did he even have the spell card bonus? Like, did he still have it?
You're gonna see that on this third non-spell because he can't bomb or suicide, or can't suicide rather. All these leftover fireballs are just gonna stay here on the screen and keep haunting him, and it's going to make things rather awkward. But
Yeah,
well,
he killed the side parry super early, but he didn't really have a choice.
Yeah, if you have suicides, you could use them to keep the side fairies alive longer and get more big freezes, but you kind of have to settle for what you can get when the
Yeah,
resources
just-
are running low.
Yeah, because the suicides negates ice damage.
And it's very
It's a
important that
huge amount.
he deals damage to the boss with these last few freezes for the extra motivation, as it's gonna be very tight whether he gets 1000% or not.
Yeah. Yeah, I know at least on the last spell he can get about 250% motivation, I believe. So if he enters that spell with at least 750, or you know, at least a little bit above that, he should be able to full life clear, so long as he doesn't die. But that could still happen.
Yeah, this whole final boss fight has had to be no miss for him so far with the resources. But not anymore, unfortunate.
Yeah, he's still
So
continuing.
Yeah, this is still a higher potential run in TWC score than the previous run to stage 3 that they got reset earlier.
Yeah, he does have a pretty high score. Like he will definitely get 100. He would definitely get 100 million if he had a full life clear. I think he can still get 100 million, maybe.
Nah, not without the full motivation. It's gonna be somewhere in the 90s at best, but that might be good enough to win the match, since both players have mightily struggled to finish any
Yeah.
runs at all so far, and the timer is running rather dry.
I mean, 21 minutes is still decent.
Oh my god, yeah. Okay, well that was too devastating for him.
Yeah, that was up to 2 lives or more missing from the clear bonus. About the same degree of disaster that they got reset his previous run in.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah, I
the
mean, this
timer
game is brutal.
low enough that Gyou is on his... He can only finish 1 run at this point, and it's going to be his final TWC score.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gyou just does have room to still reset, but he,
Yeah.
if he doesn't, then this is the run that has to count, and he has no choice but to finish it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Fire
Dagoth took
round-
an unfortunate death. Did anybody see actually in the chat what actually hit him here? Because I didn't see it, but...
Was
Yeah,
it
I did.
a-
Yeah, I did see it.
I think it was a little star.
A little star from below, perhaps.
Yeah,
No, I think it was from above. It was just a he just screwed up dodging it.
Yeah, okay, from above the chat is saying. I mean, that is pretty much how you would die on that spell from the stars.
Yeah.
Perhaps he got a little
That-
too close. He got
Yeah, I
he
mean,
got swatted back for sexual harassment.
That is a really bad place to die because those stars arrive at your position really slowly, so you're just missing out on time to freeze. That's a very bad place to die.
So 20 minutes left on the clock is starting to get into danger territory, but we still have plenty of time for resets.
Dagoth cannot do the ideal route anymore, though. He has to go for the 5 suicide route on the boss, because he's already 3 lives behind. So he basically can't afford to make any more mistakes.
Yeah, it's not as dire as the situation that Gyou was in on the final boss on the previous run, having to no-miss the whole thing, but it's not an ideal resource situation.
Yeah, I mean, in the backup route that he has to do, he would suicide 5 times. So that's how many times he would suicide, assuming he doesn't die unintentionally anywhere. Like right there. I don't think you ever negate ice damage from regular enemies. It's always bosses, so that was definitely not intentional.
I think it happens in like a couple of places in some routes, but that definitely was not one of them.
I guess the big fairies that like respawn if you kill them early. But that is not happening here. Because he's doing point blank raise as the bomb ends, so he can get his 100% ice power. And now he has to shoot to get his remaining ice power. Oh, I know, it's really scary.
Yeah, if the piss lasers want to just spawn the yellow stuff next to you, there's very little time to react.
Yeah, and he's also getting really bad RNG on the boss movement RNG here. Just keeps moving away.
So a bit of a curiosity I had. I always thought that the freezes on Sunny Milk tend to sort of roughly form the shape of like a crab or a lobster. Is there a lore reason for that, or is that one just coincidence, do you think?
I've not heard that lore story, but I'm gonna believe it.
Alright.
Okay, he's doing well on this mid spell though. He's getting his freeze timings pulled off really well there. It's really tight on the timing. If you mess up, you're almost pretty much gonna die, unless you do like a really fast reaction dodge.
Speaking of lore, there is one lore factor that we haven't talked about yet, in addition to the ones before, which is that Stars of Fire's non-spells where the bullets bounce off the sides of the screen, those are representative of her radar ability, or sonar from the manga. He's using echolocation like a bat. It's canon.
Damn.
Alright, well Dagoth is approaching the 3 fairies here pretty soon. Hopefully he can get a clear this time.
Yeah, the motivation situation is looking like he's got room for at least 4 suicides or deaths total here, which should give him reasonable chances for a max motivation clear. Depending on how YOLO he wants to go.
If he clears this one, he still has barely enough time to get another credit in. Oh, and that's...
Those were really raw yellow bullets from the piss lasers. They really are random. Sometimes they are just far away, but sometimes they can really come close. Those were rather close as well.
Yeah, so now he probably has to... Maybe he's gonna skip the suicide here now, that he was gonna do here.
Yeah, it'll depend on what his patterns are. He's either going to skip one here or skip some on the third non-spell.
Let's see what happens.
Extra match should be Touhou lore trivia. How about no?
How about yes, no? The lore is very important to the Touhou series.
Yeah, okay, he's not doing the suicide, he's just going. He's just skipping this one.
Yeah, he might even leave an extra life or 2 in stock, or attempt to, as this is indeed the second to last run, and he definitely does want to score for the boards and not reset this one unless the worst occurs. Let's not curse it though.
That depends on if this Frenchman can take the humiliation of resetting.
Oh, let's not worry about that. They seem to handle it pretty well.
Also, I'm just noticing this now, but is Dagoth streaming in 30 FPS while Gyou is streaming in 60?
You're goddamn right. Somebody's showing his pleb PC.
Yeah.
There is also a law similarity between Cerno and Frenchman, which is that both are enjoyers of frog cuisine, although Cerno prefers it a bit colder.
True.
Possibly part of why he's playing this game here on TWC.
Are there any frogs in this game?
Not to my knowledge, unfortunately, outside the endings, which... No spoilers, you didn't hear that, okay?
Yeah.
There's a safe spot.
Very nice.
Yeah, Sunny has more than enough HP here, so he can just go for full damage freezes here. And then he's gonna be doing damage to the side fairies here, because the freeze stays on screen for long enough. Now hopefully he doesn't die here this time. Okay, it's going well.
Didn't quite get a 30%, but he got the general idea of using the suicide bullets to get bigger freezes.
Yeah, now he wants the tiniest freezes so that the lasers are not on screen. He's
this spell
struggling
looks
a bit.
very similar to the A1 version, but there is actually a difference, which is that in the C2 version the lasers are firstly, they're not aimed, they are always shooting at a static direction, and they have slightly higher fire rate, which makes this version more difficult, more dangerous overall. Since you can't redirect the lasers to go to the side and have less opportunities to graze them and stuff. And they are also more disruptive.
Again.
At least something is going well here for Dagoth. Ooh, those revenge bullets were really scary.
Yes, he's got room for up to 2 suicides, I believe, perhaps 3. We'll see what he decides to do. If he's going to YOLO. If he's doing safety, he would do a single suicide, I believe. Even though he might be able to afford more.
Also, I think we underestimated the timer a little bit, because I think Dagoth may be able to finish this one and then start another one.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Seems like he's skipping suicides entirely and playing for extreme safety here. He seems very determined to get a max motivation clear on the boards at any cost.
Yeah, like if he does that, he can probably afford a death on Berry Overdrive.
Yeah, he's got room for at least. Yeah, he's got room for at least 2 intentional deaths, possibly more right now with how safe he's playing it.
Yeah. Anyway, at this point, he's not planning to die anymore. The last intentional deaths were gonna be on the non-spell that he just finished. Yep. So he intends to just, survive everything at this point. But if he dies, he can still get a max motivation clear. These waves are really nasty.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's really tight.
Milking these for extra is for the super players or masochists.
There is actually a safe spot inside the ring to safe spot grades, but the spot is extremely tight and not worth it. Yeah, and you have to be on the 45-degree angles compared to where Sunny is. You can't go above or below. That doesn't work. And it's like a few pixels of leeway.
Yeah, still room for at least 1 extra death here, so he should not be super worried.
He's also going to be using a bomb here, because he's now maxed out on PF. Ooh,
this is also where we are observing Sunny's canonical non-crab related power, which is that she can refract and bend light, which is what she's doing to these nasty bullets here. They are kind of being they're given the old mirror, the lens.
Yeah, at least these bullets are not speeding up like the first spell does.
Actually, this effect's kinda similar to gravitational lensing, isn't it?
Yeah, very close.
Yeah.
And then we've got the thing you've been waiting for, Fairy Overdrive. Sunny version. In this version they move in in this version they move between these 4 points on the sides of the screens.
The dice there, what the hell?
Very unfortunate. But you can see how this becomes a lot harder if you miss the freezes and suddenly have to go through more shit. Oh
okay. No. Okay, it was fun.
That was. This is one of the sections in the game where the ice power mechanic and how you recharge it really comes into play, since there's a lot of potential for small freezes here for both extra motivation, slight extra score, slight extra PF, and safety, but there is also the possibility that you don't get them and then you have to go through a cloud of green and things can get dicey.
The revenge bullets that were fired there were actually fireballs, which is really nasty. It's because Sunny's aura is actually turning those bullets into fireballs.
So close.
He might not be able to max motivation clear now. I think it's over.
Yeah, he definitely can't, but he's not going to be missing a full life. He's only going to be losing like perhaps 1 or 2 million or less. Assuming that he nails the final spell, let's watch him.
Yeah, he is on probably let's see, like 104 pace maybe.
Yeah, it can go over 100 for sure, and will, if the final spell goes well.
And for reference, the C2 record is 105.4.
By the way, I want you to pay attention if you watched yesterday's GFW survival match, how some of the final spells had a bunch of stray fireballs released. Right now, way Dagoth doing it is a lot cleaner.
That is a mistake. That is a mistake. He bombed too early, so he's off route.
These bombs are not in the correct cycle. Ideally, they happen when the screen is full of fireballs, and not when the screen is full of things that are not fireballs.
Oh my...
Jesus.
We gave him the Commentators curse. This is on us.
He actually did not make the
999, dude.
At least he's respecting the law.
He could have actually made a much more fatal mistake there, and that was...
spoilers! Close your eyes, close your eyes. You saw nothing, okay?
Zoom DMCA, here we come.
He could have actually made a much more fatal mistake there, and that is if he kills the main fairy and the side fairy simultaneously, the game soft locks.
Oh yeah.
That was really close. I was really scared for a moment about that.
Meanwhile, Gyou is also on a run, and I believe he died on the epilepsy warning spell before. So there's been some mistakes, but the resource situation still looks playable to me. We are not in copium territory yet.
At least for Dagoth, this is a personal PB.
Based on what he's saying, it seems almost copium territory.
Well, I mean, currently the best run on the boards is a 850% motivation clear, so right now the standards have been lowered. The bar has been not raised. It's been dropped to the floor.
Yeah, if that was a full top life clear, he would have had 105.
Yeah, right now he's complaining about how low the run is.
Yeah, that is unfortunate, of course, when things don't go your way.
Yeah.
In this high stakes TWC setting with all the marbles or the prize money on the line, the pride of Team Harmony. Which country is Harmony?
Yo is Harmony.
Is it Switzerland?
It's one of Kogoro's masks.
I see.
We're living on top of masks nowadays.
So the Earth it's not flat, it's in the shape of a face mask.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. Bit of a close-up from Lunatic, but now she's maybe taking a bit of a no. She's coming up close again. This isn't good. You would want her to be a bit higher up, get some space to breathe.
Yeah.
She's coming down low again. This is very rude. I would be complaining on mic right now.
At least his timing is freeze as well, so in such a way that the lasers don't really get much of a chance to shatter the ice.
Yeah, he would have wanted to do one more freeze, but the movement of the boss really wasn't to his favor. It was going to be difficult to get a non-damaging freeze.
ごめんね、なんか解説陣伝わらないことしちゃってあね、めっちゃうまかった。それだけは言う。めっちゃうまかった。うん。
At this point, whoever max motivation clears is in a position to have a huge score lead. So even if the pace has been compromised, if he can keep it together.
That was a very tight dodge by Dagoth. Okay, well,
いや、やばい。
he can still reset, but he can as soon as he's out of stage 1 or even enters the first boss, he has to commit to this run.
うまかったのに安いな。まだ安いな。当たり前なんだけどな。なんか変わったところで20万ぐらいしか。
Well, managing to fully milk the
いや、さすがに
mid spell.
Yeah, and Gyou has to finish this run.
He still
Probably.
thinks it's a bad run though.
Yeah, but you know, if he resets, he might get something that's just as bad, maybe worse. I mean, it's basically a gamble at this point, what he's gonna be doing, but he,
We're also not sure if the players have been checking the stream, so they may or may not know what kind of TWC scored pace their opponent is on. Since if he knew what things were looking like in France, he would be slightly more optimistic about this run, perhaps.
I mean, there's still 20 points in France, so that's still pretty good, I'd say. It's decent, anyways.
But with the 1000% motivation clear, there is still a guaranteed bust on that. If he can die 3 or less times with suicides and deaths total on this final boss.
what?
Getting started right there.
He got sniped by a fucking pits laser. What the hell?
That was a weird mistake.
Yeah, this doesn't usually happen. He kind of just ran into it, but
Oh, and Dagoth
things
reset.
happen.
This might be his last reset.
And unfortunately, Gyou suffered the non-POC of extra shame. We've been seeing a few of those on this first non-spell of the final boss today, which is actually rather tricky.
I don't even know if he has
Since
any room to get any more suicides.
This first non-spell of the Three Fairies fight actually has a very rare property as well. The final boss fight in general with the non-spells, because there's 3 bosses that move independently of each other, and the center fairy can go farther or closer from the side fairies. It can create strange situations that make the RNG more difficult than usual. He's still got room for 1 or 2 more deaths. He might try to play it rather safe with no suicides, as he did on the prior run where he had no room for dying at all, but
Yeah, I think
will
that's
see.
the safest bet.
Juicy freezes from Gyou. 96 and 95.
timer about to run out on the reset, so this is confirmed to be Gyou's just last run. Well, unless he resets right now, but that would be ill-advised.
Yeah,
in
he's
my
not gonna be
professional
doing
opinion. The esports commentators would not approve of a reset right now.
He's committed. That looked pretty close, that he was almost gonna die to that yellow fireball, but yellow fireballs in this game actually have a smaller hitbox than the red ones.
Yeah, that is one of the strange mechanics, that the color of fireballs also changes their size. Some
Final
unique
one.
features, let's say.
Final one for both players.
Yeah, they have to finish these runs, and well, especially Gyou, of course. But Gyou is in a pretty good position. Oh, and yeah, Dagoth just died. He would have reset right now, but he can't, so he has to just see it through.
Yeah.
Yeah, both players should be aware that these are the final runs.
Yeah, Dagoth would have reset if he didn't.
That was scary, right there.
Oh, and he's also messing up on Star.
いやなんか分かりにくいところにどんどんやす
That was pretty
That might
stuck.
actually be an intentional
Point blank.
shot kill since she fires lasers, and it may be better overall to have her dead rather than firing lasers at that point. But it all comes down to these last 3 non-spells and whether he can keep his lives in stock for the 1000% motivation clear. It might also be enough to win if he finishes with motivation in the 900s as well, as Dagoth dropped to 850 at the end of his run.
He
It
only
might be
needs
very
91
close.
million, so he definitely can. Because his PV is like 102.4, which is not shown here for one reason or another, but
Yeah, it was on his cousin's PC, you know, happens every time.
Yeah.
Definitely wasn't this leaderboard playing.
I mean, is it really a TWC match if the players aren't fighting their potential?
No, definitely not. It's an essential part of the experience.
いやーどうしようさすがに
I think he can't die now. He might have to skip suicides now.
Yeah,
It's a
that is
really bad place to die.
probably the last safe death he can take. You can notice that he's not firing willy-nilly. He wants to get all the freezes he can with the resources he has, which is not as many as he would want, but
Also, I think Dagoth is in a disastrous spot right now because I think he died 3 times.
yeah, this is pure copium, unfortunately. There's no other way to put it.
He might maybe put the.
ねまたすごい下来てるんだけど
He might give up on this run, honestly. This is really painful. It must be really painful for him.
He should definitely continue given the less than ideal state of his only finished run of the boards. Even a copium run can get more than that due to how big a deal the 1000% motivation clear is. Even though
960
damage has
flat.
been taken, the potential can still be at least 5 to 10 million higher than on his existing run, even with this start.
Oh my god, that was really scary. He left a lot of leftover bullets behind, but he managed to dodge it.
Yeah, Chum is pointing out this as well in the chat that it's the late game deaths that put you below 1000% motivation. Those are the killer deaths where you truly pronounce the run dead to rights. But earlier deaths, where you still have the potential to finish with 1000% motivation, at this point in the match they
Yeah.
hurt, but you can finish a run that is better than your current one on the boards, even with such mistakes.
Yeah, I mean his route is just gonna be tighter is the thing, so he can't really afford to make a lot of mistakes now. I mean he basically has his
It
unintentional
also
deaths
depends
now.
on, right, and it depends on what kind of backup routes he has. You know, I believe we were told that he hasn't done runs in this category, which might indicate that he might not have backup routes for the worst possible resource situations, since in practice often you kinda assume a good situation in practice for a good result, and not for this kind of run, but we'll see. It's possible he has enough experience with the backup routes.
Yeah, also-
Gyurchan said that something is not enough. I don't know what he's referring to.
Well, motivation definitely not. I don't think he's gonna clear with 1000% at this point.
開けたかこれは
It depends on how he milks this. If he milks Fairy Overdrive well, he can still clear with 1000%, 100%. But it depends on if he succeeds at this milk, because you can get tons of motivation here.
Yeah, he needs to damage
it all
the
depends on
bosses
the
with his
ices.
ice.
Yeah, but
Yeah, he needs to time his
that's a-
freezes in such a way that it hits the boss.
Yeah, but it hits the bosses, but it doesn't hit too many of the bosses, since you can this 3 fairies fight is one of the places where you can get 27% motivation damage by dealing full damage to all 3 fairies, but you still get 9% motivation. So if you want to get the super optimized motivation, you want to get ices that only deal damage to 1 or 2 fairies at a time out of the 3.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, they put the nail in the coffin.
But he still has potential to outdo Dagoth's run.
Yes, absolutely.
He can finish with 900% motivation or above. We'll see if he can succeed in the final spell.
If he doesn't die on this spell, he will definitely beat Dagoth's TWC score.
By the way, it was the final spell that Dagoth choked his previous run on, which is... all the pressure is on Gyou now to show how it's done. And that's a bit of a choke. It's a bit of a choke.
He can still fix it. Okay, I think he's on route again.
He's also whining that his run is super low.
Okay, he's on pace now.
Ooh, okay, that was a bit scary.
Yeah, it can be.
Good.
Here we go. Here's the big freeze.
Even though technically this spell can be memorized to a route where nothing can go wrong, it can be surprisingly tricky in a live situation like this to do those kinds of quote-unquote easy memorization things.
Looks like he's gonna get a clean finish here, and there we go.
Damn.
869%, it's going to be very close. We're gonna need math experts on this for the TWC score.
96.
96. He's in the lead.
At least he did the right thing and ended his motivation on 69.
Oh yeah. Nice
now
one,
it's all
sir.
down to the Frenchman to see if he can... There was still a lot of score, about 6 million lost to not having full motivation at the end, so somewhere between 6 to 5 million. So if Dagoth can clear this run with maximum resources at the end, he is for sure going to pull ahead, more or less.
He's calling us super players on his ending blocker. Very cute.
This is actually a spoiler from the ending of the extra stage, if you can.
Oh,
however, since it's not the actual screenshot, it doesn't count as a spoiler.
He just redrew it in MS Paint. That's even better.
Looks like Dagoth is going to be using his suicides here, even though he's... Oh, yeah, well, maybe... Yeah, he messed that up.
Yeah, he does still have plenty of room for deaths at this point, so... This
I mean, these freezes are just too important. You do not want to miss out on these freezes. Because they give almost 1 million.
It is possible Tilt is setting in with moments like that, though, because it definitely isn't the way you want runs to go.
I guess one small thing I can mention is that 100% freezes are not possible in this game. There's like some weird bug with how freezes work in this game, where some bullets get shifted to the right or something. I forget exactly how it works, but I know Gasoline looked into that whole thing. 100% freezes are not possible, but you can get 99% freezes on the spell that Dagoth just finished.
Speaking of Gasoline, the tires are certainly being burned in this race down to the finish. We still don't know who's gonna take it.
Oh, he had to do a defensive freeze there. Okay, but he's at least fine. He probably does want to have at least a bomb here, but he has a bomb now. And he is getting good RNG on the spread here. Ooh, that one was really nice.
Yeah, he's been getting a 30% and even a 48. These are what you want to see.
Yeah, you definitely want to see those 30%. You can see he's already at almost 2 bombs
there
now.
was an example of what you don't want to see, but the rest have been quite good.
Yeah, he's getting good RNG here.
And nearly all of those were 30% or above.
That is very good luck. Now you just can't die here. That would be kind of painful.
We have a genius in the chat explaining the right side shifting or left side shift, whichever it was. Read the chat. This man knows. We don't know. Let's not talk about it.
Well, it's off screen to the left after frozen area shifted to the right. So he can
Please
save off-stream bullets to the left.
Don't expose at KFC. We are supposed to be the experts here. And if you keep talking like this, we're going to lose our good name. Back to the run. Dagoth on stage 3. He still has resources for quite a few suicides or unintentional deaths. But, well, for one less now.
The Jinx. Can't be a TWC match without one of those.
I mean, part of the job description of commentating any sort of replay party, any sort of World Cup match is jinxing. So add that to your resume and you'll get into TRS commentary in no time.
Fantastic.
At least he's not too far behind on his lives. His PF is kind of low though, I think.
Yeah, the lives are definitely more than enough. Room for plenty of death and despair, even with how things have gone. It really is very flexible like that, since in a quote-unquote ideal run he would want 8 or 9 suicides perhaps on the final stage, but he's not going to be doing that many on this run, but some of those 8 or 9 theoretical suicides can be skipped to make up for the earlier lives lost. And that's the kind of flex that can give this game a bit more TWC consistency, although that has not been the case today. We are still waiting for the first max motivation clear from either player. Seems like he's not suiciding on this non-spell, so he's conserving the resources for the final boss.
Yeah, wise choice.
We'll see if Sunny wants to stay high here or come a bit lower. Getting these freezes without damaging her is going to be much easier if she stays high.
Yeah, this is one of the most important boss position spells.
Yeah. We'll give you guys an extra 10% pay if you make final run magic happen. Alright, challenge accepted.
So far it's going well. There's still HP for at least 1 damage increase. Yeah, this has been very good luck and execution on this spell.
Yeah, he stays
not
high.
Not to jinx it already.
Oh no!
You hate to see it. But hey, he got the frozen items at the last second, the recovery. However, there's still room for at least 4 or 5 suicides or deaths, so even though it looks bad, their judgments have been made to play with a bit more margin for error after how the previous runs have gone. I think this seems like an appropriate way to play a final run in this situation, especially with the leading score currently being also a non-max motivation clear.
Yeah.
If he's got room for at least 5 deaths and suicides total, which is, it's not an infinite amount, especially with how the final boss can get, but it's more than he had before.
His PF is on route, but he's like 2 lives behind on what he ideally wants, so that means he's probably gonna do 6 suicides. He has room for 6 suicides. So he will probably do the backup routes and go with maybe 1 extra suicide somewhere, or he will just save it and hope he can max motivation clear with a mistake in there.
Really good luck and execution on the starter. And Sunny is going far away from Star, which is how you want it to go here. If they group it together a bit too much, it can get a bit weird, but this is...
He's coming closer though. Alright, he's fine.
Finally the first non-spell on this final boss, first one where the player gets all the frozen items on the side fairies. Not a single POC of shame here.
Also making more crabs. Feels good.
But he also tried to do an
attempted-
ice graze there.
Yeah, that's a really cool surfing move, but unfortunately he played it a bit too safe. You can play it super YOLO with that and die doing it, so not a surprise. He went a bit on the safer side.
Yeah.
He's also gone on the safer side by skipping the suicide there. He definitely seems to be aware of the situation he's in terms of what the TWC scores on the board are, because, you know, if you were going for the max points, you would play a bit riskier, but he probably checked the stream a bit, saw what the scores look like, and he knows at this point that he doesn't need any score suicides right now to beat Gyou, as long as he max motivation clears, I believe. If he does his normal scoring strats and does even one suicide or zero, he's still ahead on score pace.
You do get quite a bit of motivation from 3 fairies, though. So
that spell ending there was unintentional. He got the unfrozen items of shame, and also the freeze damage transferred to this non-spell, which is, it might make him go slightly off route here, since that same mechanic we briefly mentioned on one of the previous runs, where it was used on the spell immediately after this one to transfer a freeze from this non-spell to the beginning of the next spell, but he got an unintentional damage transfer there, which means this boss will die 1 freeze earlier than normal, and he will have to be ready for that. But
yeah, he can't do the damage transfer here on the next
thankfully
spell.
this game has health boss. Yeah, it's not Battle Garega, so
Non-damaging freeze though.
now he's going for the damage
Yeah,
transfer.
here we go. And he's
You see
almost
how
at
it-
max motivation now, so he's definitely in a good position here life-wise.
Yeah, he's got room for at least 5 deaths or suicides total at this point, which is, I mean, you can't have any more than this. It's literally capping the motivation, so the safety has been set to maximum, and so far the executions has been quite clean.
yeah.
Very nice freezes. He's gotten into a good rhythm here as well, which he kind of missed on some of the previous runs, since if you freeze too close to the yellow lasers, then you can find yourself in trouble. Oh, this is exactly what
He
can happen when...
hesitated for some reason.
Yeah, what you might have to do if you get into a cycle that's too close to the yellow lasers is that you skip a freeze on a cycle, and then you freeze right after the yellow lasers. That's what he was attempting to do there, but he was attempting to do that again. But unfortunately, the risk
Should not
did
have
not
done
pay
that.
off. Yeah, it's if you want to go for the big freezes, you may have to skip a freeze and dodge until the yellow laser has gone past you, but he failed it on both attempts here, so...
I think he also wasted PF potential there.
Yeah, it's definitely not ideal. Seems like he's not going for suicides here, he's aiming to do this. No suicide, that was really close, the suicide blood's almost gone him. He could only dodge it with the freeze just in time.
Star was almost about to snipe in too.
Yeah, this is-
Killed her with the non-damaging freeze, or with just the shots, I mean.
He still has room for at least 2 or 3 unintentional deaths, so we are still on pace, definitely we are cooking.
Also, he is getting ice power really fast here, because if you shoot multiple bosses at the same time, you actually get motivation much faster, or not motivation, ice power. I mean, you get motivation faster too, but more importantly, you get ice
each
power
enemy
faster.
you hit with the shot adds to your shot power independently, so...
Yes. Yeah, so
Let's
if
see
you
if he
hit
can
3
dodge the
bosses at the
Junko.
same time, you get it at 3 times the rate.
He got the cap, nice.
Yeah, I mean, ideally you would milk that, I believe, but he cannot really
Yeah,
afford to do it with how things were going.
Yeah, still room for 3 unintentional deaths at this point. Well, that's the
I think that
GFs.
was
Yeah,
intentional.
Yeah, this non-spell is kind of a copium suicide alternative to the third non-spell that may be preferable for safety, since at this point you're closer to the end of the run and can be more
Yeah, I mean-
certain of your resources compared to the third non-spell. But it usually isn't as good for score as the third non-spell if you have the choice. But
He has at least
it's a
well...
reasonable decision in this spot.
He's definitely well in 100 mil pace.
Actually, if we were getting real deep here, it might even be strategically sound at this point not to milk this spell with full aggression, as his score pace is already good enough to where he will take the match if he finishes with 1000% motivation at this point, even with significant score losses. It's all about the survival now at this point, and having the PF to use the bombs on the final spell. If he fulfills those two conditions and finishes with 1000% motivation, he's in the lead. No question about it.
I mean, even if he dies here right now, he can still max motivation clear, because you'll get 2.5 lives on the final spell.
Yeah,
so he's
got room for error. He also doesn't have to milk this spell to timeout if he doesn't want to. Though of course he can for more points. He can milk it to timeout if he wants to, for the extra points, but
looks like he's trying. Also.
Yeah.
Well, he's not. I don't know if he is going to go for full milk here. He might end it right here, maybe. Okay. I don't know.
He
if that
goes for the
intentional.
POC of shame. Yeah, that definitely wasn't intentional. You would want to kill it with a freeze, but it's nice to see one last POC of shame on the winning run.
This is gonna be
let's not call it before it's over. He could still die over 2 times here.
Yeah.
He did it before with a single.
Or like go off cycle with his bombs or something.
He's definitely on pace here to beat Gyou.
Slightly off cycle there with letting a fireball through. If you do this perfectly according to the route, there's not going to be a single fireball while you're in the triangle that can possibly hit you. Which we haven't seen a single super clean execution yet.
Alright, here we go, here come the bombs.
The nerves get into the players.
Good timing.
He can get screwed and a random fireball hits him right before he's trying to bomb, and that would be really painful.
No,
right, that's 2 bombs. Let's see if you can get the third.
Death bomb.
Oh. Yeah, nice death bomb.
That's the run.
And there we go.
Takes the match.
Very nice.
Oh
Very
wait,
nice.
Fantastic.
And he almost got the record. He almost got the record too. Not quite. It was 105.4, but that was a very clean finish.
105.3.
Somebody in chat asking what causes the screen to become flooded with fireballs on the final spell. The way that works is that the main fairy has a spell effect around them and a sound effect, and shortly after that she starts transforming all fireballs that touch her into fireballs. And that's why they are freezing shortly after that cue to cancel bullets during that transformation phase, so that nothing is there for her to transform into fireballs.
Yeah, earlier on in that pattern, you want to not get the fireballs to appear by getting the freeze out at the right time.
And there we have the Touhou World Cup final score for this match, 41.092 points. Wait, there's 3 decimals on these scores? These are some high precision numbers.
Yeah.
Very close to the 420 points, but unfortunately, he couldn't quite get that second to last digit there to cooperate.
Yeah, anyways, this is our final results. Second place, Gyou playing for Team Harmony with 36 points, which he got via a C1 96 million run. Dagoth, however, with Final Run Magic, got a 41-point run, very close match, with a C2 105.3 mil run. Very well played from both players, I'd say.
Yeah,
really unfortunate.
Good adaptation from Dagoth as well on this final run to switch to some safety patterns and keep extra lives in stock to make sure that he is able to get the 1000% motivation clear to secure the win safely.
Yeah. Unfortunate, really unfortunate for Gyou to not be able to finish with max motivation, but that's just...
He might even have... It might be, depending on the math, that if he died one less time, even if he didn't finish with max motivation, that he would be able to take the match, but unfortunately, it went the way it did, and he's just a bit behind.
sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah, what John was alluding to earlier, it does seem that Dagoth has a lot of potential left on this route. With he does now have 105.3, which is a huge PB for him, but it seems that he can go much higher than that given the mistakes he made with this run and the compromises he had to make.
Right, nobody really was able to get the final boss to cooperate, which is to be expected in TWC, to be honest. The final boss is... It's like 2/3 of the game in terms of the problems that are involved in runs.
Yeah, and the final boss itself is also like half of the game, pretty much, like in terms of length.
Yeah, it's a banger.
Yeah, we still have one more match this weekend coming up, or so I thought. That's my bad. I thought this was a 4. Yeah. Okay. There is one more match this week, and I'm double stupid. Okay.
It says something about a double dealing character. Who's that?
Yeah, it's coming up in about 2 hours. We have double dealing character Lunatic No Bond with XCF versus Samiko versus Touhou. So that's what you have to expect for this weekend. Yeah, I got slightly misled by the fact that there's 4 match cards here, but yeah, the other 3 are next week, so don't worry about them just yet.
Maybe you accidentally read them in Japanese order from right to left, being too much of a weeb.
Well, that happened during the last GFW match.
Yeah. DDC is next week. What? Okay. Well then, next week. The match card is kinda screwed. Because someone backstage.
We are being told by the voice in our head that we are literally being lied to by what we see before our eyes. It's not real.
Oh my god. Yeah, so someone backstage was a big dum-dum when they made this, so they forgot to update the time. DDC is actually next week. Okay, so after that we have hopefully the correct time for IN Lunatic scoring. Rivers versus Zetsu.
This is what you get for trusted in double dealing characters. They fool you with dates, feed you false information, compromise the production. Cut the feed.
True. Okay. Next, right after that is more IN with extra scoring. Pingval versus Levia. 2 really exciting matches. Both with really high-level players, so that's going to be super exciting. And then finally, the very last match of like the primaries is Lunatic scoring Gyou versus NS. So that's what you have.
Are you implying that there's secondaries as well?
Yes.
Primaries.
Oh, now that match card also disappeared. Okay.
No, where's my IN extra?
It got cancelled.
Right. Yeah, anyways, that's what's up next week.
Oh, well, it came back.
Nice.
Uncancel the cancel.
I guess we are not getting aftermath commentary from Dagoth here.
Or are we?
Or are we?
Yeah, I don't think we've gotten confirmation or denial so far yet, but maybe somebody could give him a rude at or something.
You burn fast. Oh, okay. I mean, you can just join into AVC and I'll just drag you in if you want.
Our legend.
Yo.
Is they got connected to the stream audio yet? I think we had some setup there, so could the voices in our head let us know when Dagoth can be heard or not heard? Okay, we have confirmation that Dagoth is audible. Please, Dagoth. Congrats on the win. How do you feel?
I don't know, kind of conflicted. I'm glad I cleared the end, but yeah, it was a bit shite, I guess.
Yeah, you had a really rough start.
Yeah, it seemed that the runs weren't going as planned, and that some of the backup resource routes and how to deal with these situations seemed a bit rough around the edges. Is this the correct impression?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely hadn't practiced as much as for the last match, since this was a new category, and how to say, well, I only practiced 40 hours from the from the moment TWC was started.
40 hours a day, you mean?
Yeah, on C2.
Right.
Did you perchance check the stream at all during the match to see what the scores were looking like, or did you make the decision to go for a relatively safe max motivation clear on the final run independently?
No, I didn't check Gyou's run. I was hearing a bit the commentary, but I didn't really figure out what did he have, and I just had to clear with max motive anyway.
Right. The situation was that his best clear was a 850% motivation clear, so at that point any max motive clear from you would probably take the win.
Yeah, that's true.
And do you plan on bringing the category further, even now after your match is over?
Yeah, if I don't get lazy, I guess.
So how do you feel about C2? Is it more fun than A1?
I can't tell. It's kind of, I don't know. It feels more random at some parts, or like some big patterns that are just score a lot and are just very hard.
Well, at least with how you were doing things, it's more forgiving.
Yeah. It's only really hard if I try to do the hard patterns that I conceived, but if you play with a safe route, then I guess it's not really hard compared to A1.
Yeah, because on A1 you could only afford like one suicide, I think, or one unintentional death.
Yeah, but that's for the world record route. The world record route. Otherwise, it's not really. It's not that tight either.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, you almost got the record, actually. You were only 100k off.
Oh, I mean, for C2, yeah, but C2 really has a lot more to... I mean, it can increase a lot more than A1, obviously.
Do you have an idea what the potential is if you got an equally good run as your A1 score?
Well, it's about the same score as A1, so it could go like 112 or so.
Okay,
even 114,
wow.
Ideally.
Yeah, so you're hearing it here. There's a lot of potential left for C2 and probably also some other categories. Because as we know, Gyou actually got a record on C1 this morning. It did not show on his stream, but yeah, he actually beat the record by 200k.
Yeah, he did. But he was lacking like 15% motivation. If he had it, it would have been 103 million. But he doesn't want to post it because of that. I don't know.
I see.
So even though Gyou wasn't able to win the match today, he still got a bit of a personal dub earlier, so
yeah,
not quite such a bad day for him after all.
Well, I hope he'll keep playing too and have a max motive clear.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, I want to ask you something stage 1 related, Dagoth. Did you practice stage 1, and how do you feel about A route stage 1 versus C route stage 1? You know, is one of them more prone to be reset hell?
I didn't practice it much, but yeah, I feel it's much more prone to be reset hell. Like, I mean, the beginning is more random, I mean, everything is more random actually. Like the mid boss also, and then you have the knife rings, which are a lot harder than whatever you have in A1. And then even the boss itself, well, you have the first spell, which is kind of hard. I guess it's similar to Luna's second non in A1.
Yeah, we noticed that you weren't using any plant bombs on that spell, but Gyou was actually using his bombs there, or at least one whenever things got tight.
Yeah, it's just the bomb is not optimal. You can even lose some score in some cases, but I mean, you can use it for safety if you want to bomb rather than dying.
Yeah, the current record also bombs that pattern, so, and I imagined it was also semi-safety.
Yeah, exactly. I also skipped suicides on the stage 2 mid boss this run because I died a lot in the early game, so yeah.
We noticed that the first digit of the motivation was 1 exiting stage 1, which is definitely a bit on the lower side.
Yeah, because the most important is to be able to suicide on the Luna's first spell, but even there I failed, you see. So there's a lot of score to gain.
Yeah, that first spell is enormous.
Yeah, looked a bit rough, but you did get the max motive clear in the end. By the way, your first run ended on failing the final spell of 3 fairies. How often does this happen to you on average?
Not often, like this is maybe the second time. The other time was when I had a world record pace run on A1, and that was a train wreck. I mean, that was heartbreaking.
Ouch.
But yeah, I mean, I know I can do better in not very long if I want to, so I'm not very bummed about it.
Yeah, it's actually interesting because players often never fail that spell, but when it comes to TWC, suddenly things are going off-road and suddenly there's fireballs and all kinds of things happening on the final spell that normally never happen, and it gets very scary.
Yeah, that was even happening on the survival run from a few players here.
Well, it's a survival run. You expect it to be a mess, but it tends to be a spell that really messes people up in TWC.
Yeah, I guess if you're tense, it's just it just happens.
Yeah, like the spell looks easy, but once things go wrong, it's just completely the opposite.
Right, the cycle, if you do the route correctly, it just lines up perfectly and nothing ever goes wrong, but if something does go wrong, then it can be a bit dicey. Anyway, do we have anything more to ask of Dagoth, or do you have anything more you want to say?
Well, thanks for watching, I guess, and thanks for commentating. That's helpful. So yeah, thanks for
okay, one last question.
TWC also.
Did you pick up Fairy Wars because of your love of frog cuisine?
No. I've never eaten frog, so I can't comment about it.
Are you actually French?
Yeah.
we need to see proof here, please.
Well, I like cheese and I like protest, I guess, so I think I'm French enough, okay?
Nice. All right. Well, with that, I think that's gonna be plenty for today. Do you guys have anything to add? Kirby?
Well, personally not. I think this was a fun match though. You guys were having a pretty close match right at the end. So I was entertained, and I hope everyone else was also entertained and took Dagoth and Gyou. Thanks for playing and putting on a show. That's about it.
Yeah, I was definitely entertained by this match. Really tense at the end. Very cool. Turska, do you have anything to add?
Oh yeah, I think we actually didn't introduce ourselves as commentators at any point, which is...
Yeah, we tend to not be as we tend to not like make that as important as they do in Japan. But yeah, I mean, if you want to, we can do some introductions now.
Yeah, let's start with Dagoth. Please introduce yourself. You have 5 seconds.
I like GFW and PYV, I guess. Especially PYV Yono.
When are we going to have POVW scoring in TWC?
If I can do 2 categories, maybe.
Change the rules, you heard the man. Change the rules. It's the only way.
Alright. Alright. Obviously, well played, sir. Well played to Gyou-chan also. And we'll see you guys next week with 4 more matches.
We are being told by the voices in our head that once the sun ends, the feed will be cut, so it's your last chance to have your say now.
Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna say I'll see you guys around.
Thanks for watching.
Yes, thanks for watching and thanks for playing Dagoth and Gyou.
Yeah, it was a hype match. Great to have the boys show up again, and the stakes just keep getting bigger and better every year.
Yep. Well, see ya.
白猫の三毛猫の毛物の三毛猫